We'll get this webinar started. Thank you everyone who's attended today's session. My name's Josh Bagler and I'll be taking you through the eNews communication tool in the MiClub Golf product. I hope you can all see my screen. I'll take you through a few slides, a few tips and tricks and what the eNews module is about, and then we'll go through a demonstration at the end. This session will be recorded and we'll provide you the link to download this session afterwards if you'd like, as well as if there's any questions throughout today's session, please feel free to put them in the chat in this webinar, and I have a colleague who will go through and monitor the chat and answer any questions as they come through. If we can't answer any at the time, we will make a note of it and contact you separately after this session to answer your question for you. Okay. Okay, so just a quick what the eNews is about. It's an integrated communication tool within your MiClub Golf system. This is an add-on module that can be ordered with our accounts team at any time. It's designed for golf clubs to manage member communication or public communication based on the public bookings database. It supports newsletters, updates, alerts, and automated set and forget messaging. Some key features: it's got a drag and drop email builder. You can create custom templates, member segmentation targeting, scheduled sends and automation, which I'll go through in our demonstration. You get analytics, so how many opens, clicks, and unsubscribed. It integrates with your MiClub database, members and public, as mentioned before. You can create custom contact lists and also import third-party lists as well. So if you have a list with a third-party system, you can import that into the MiClub system. You can also clone previous campaigns, which is quite popular with a lot of clubs. They will clone a previous campaign, tweak it, and then use it to resend in the future. Okay, some common uses that clubs would use this for is weekly or monthly newsletters. They'll do updates such as competition results, club events, renewals. Sometimes the superintendent may use it to post out course maintenance or club renovation notices. They'll also post special offers, as well as some clubs utilize the eNews module as a birthday newsletter. So whenever it falls on a member or a public person's birthday, they will automatically get sent a happy birthday newsletter on that day or a week or two prior. And you can also track and reward players based on their bookings. Okay. And I'll touch on that in the demonstration as well. Alrighty, so the typical workflow of creating the newsletter, we're going through our demonstration in a second, but just to outline it, so first I would create my custom contact list. If I was to create custom contact lists to target specific members or public, I would also create my triggers, which is such as your birthday trigger or your booking promotion triggers prior to creating my eNews, because once I go through the build of the eNews, I need to attach that trigger during that build. Okay. Navigate to the eNews dashboard and then select to create the new email campaign is the next step. I would set some general settings such as who it's from, what the newsletter is called, the subject of the email, and that's where I'd attach that trigger, or I'd set it to send immediately. Then I'd select my recipients, and that once again, that's who I'm targeting. Is it members, is it public, or is it a custom list? Then select the template. Some clubs have multiple templates. Most would have just one template, which will be customized to their club, so such as a nice image at the top with their logo. You then create your content within that, so copying and pasting text that you might receive from other departments, as well as tweaking logos, images that you may want to build within it. And then you preview, and you can save and send later, or you can send it immediately. Okay, so let's go through to the demonstration. I'm going to be using our MiClub demo site for this. So as I'm logging into the system, from the admin portal, I would go up to the header under communication. And there's about 4 or 5 buttons here that relate to the eNews module. Of course, the first one on the left, eNews, that's our dashboard. We'll go through to that in a minute or two. Then we've got triggers. So that's based on birthdays or bookings that members are making or public. Then we go contact lists, which is where I can build custom lists as well as import those lists from third-party systems. Then if we move across to email history, that'll show you what emails are being sent out of the system, you would see a list here. And there's also opt-outs. So if I select communication and go to opt-outs, you would see a list of opt-outs, which is who's unsubscribed from the newsletters. So under communication, I'll make my way back to contact list for a second. Okay, now here are a list of contact lists that have been built. This is where we test things as well. At the top, you can add a new list, and this is where you can import a custom list from that third-party system, okay? It needs to be 3 columns, so first name, last name, and email address to import a list from a third-party system. If I was to build a custom list within the MiClub system, I would select Add New List. I would give this list a name. So if it was for all private members or all members in general, I may call it All Members, and then I would go down, and probably in this scenario, I would select Add Membership Categories, and I would tick which categories are applicable. If I was creating a list for a lot smaller demographic, I may use the Add Individuals option instead. So hence you might change the name, and then you'd also start searching for those individuals. Okay, and it would bring up those individuals to select. I can also apply a filter to this list. So rather than creating an all members list, if I wanted to apply a filter, I can do it based on these methods. The most popular is gender. So for example, a club might create an all male members list. They select all private members here, and then they go down and they make sure you copy this text exact. So it's male with all lowercase, so I would type male, and then I would select add. That would apply the filter to these categories and create an all male members list. Okay, then you'd hit save and select back. Now you'd see that there's an all male members one here, and you would do the same and replicate that if you wanted an all female members, or if you wanted to then go a step further, you do have the ability to create these filters based on a join date, perhaps a postcode, and target specific areas of your location. Okay, if I go back up to communication, moving across from contact list onto triggers. Okay, now these are, once again, it's your birthday triggers or your booking promotion triggers. So a trigger is like a formula. You create your formula, you create your trigger, and then you attach it to your newsletter campaign as you're creating it. These are the methods you'd create a trigger based on a birthday or maybe a membership anniversary or renewal period. Some clubs will go and create one of a 10-year anniversary, a 15-year anniversary, and so forth. That way, when it falls on that anniversary, or if it falls on someone's birthday, they would automatically get sent that newsletter, that particular newsletter. Okay, the system, it's almost set and forget. It's working itself. It's every day. It's constantly looking to see if anyone in your database fits that formula. If we moved across to booking promotions, this is another popular one. I was to select create promotional trigger. You can create it based on these settings. So greater than an amount of bookings, less than or equal to. Okay, so say if it was greater than a certain amount of bookings, it might be almost a reward. So someone's made more than, a public person's made more than 4 bookings in a month. Maybe you got the system to send them an automatic newsletter saying thank you for your loyalty, and maybe offering some membership deals because it might be financially more beneficial for them to become a member than to just play once a week as a visitor. Or you can do equal to or less than. So you may want to provide an incentive for someone to come back. For example, if a public person hasn't been to the club for a month or 2, you might want the system to automatically email them. Say, we miss you, or we haven't seen you in a while. Here's what's happening at the club, some up and coming events, maybe a pro-am, that sort of thing. Okay, so triggers are formulas that you attach. Now it's best to create these before you go through and create your content, your newsletter. Okay, now if we go to communication and we'll move across to eNews, to our dashboard. Now this dashboard's got some key features here. One of the important ones is you'll see how many email credits or how many emails you have left out of your subscription. what the total was and when the renewal date is. You can also see what people are currently working on at your club, so what's in draft, which ones have triggers attached, so they set and forget they're working themselves. Then if we scroll down, you'll see sent, so which ones have been sent. You'll be able to see the statistics on that as well. So if I selected the icon, it'll bring up statistics. It has the overview. Then you can go into detail of each option, as well as review the message itself. Okay. Okay, and then if you go down, if you ever have one that falls onto error, just send our support team a quick message and they'll be able to assist you and fix that up for you. If you ever delete one, you can bring it back or you can clone it and then it would appear up in the draft area again to work on, as well as cloning previous ones. So if I liked the way this one looked and I wanted to resend a similar version, I can clone that particular one. It then appears up here under clone. You'll be able to edit it and then resend it. Okay, now if we were to go through and I build a fresh one, select new email campaign. The general settings are here, so the name might be called monthly newsletter. The subject might be called club update, perhaps. Now, under sender details, if it's defaulting to @myclub.com.au, you can actually ask our support team and we'll be able to assist and help it be set up so it falls under your domain. So for example, it might say @flinders.com.au at the club domain. So if you need that set up, please contact our support team and we can assist with that. Okay. The from name is not usually from an actual person. It's usually say from the golf club management, from the superintendent, from the president. So in this case, I'll say from the club. And here's where it's important to create your triggers before if this was going to have a trigger attached. So how would you like it to be sent? Immediately based on a trigger, and you'll see your list of triggers here, whether it's a birthday one, for example, we miss you and so forth, or at a specific date or time. So for example, if I was working on this on the Monday, but then I wanted to automatically send it at the end of the week on the Friday, perhaps at 6 p.m. You can set that up here. For this instance, I'll set it as immediately. It doesn't mean that it does get sent immediately. You can save it and keep working on it through the week. You have the option to save it and send later. If I go up and go through to my next tab, it's under recipients. So once again, I can select individuals, which is targeting a smaller list of people. I can go to my communication list, which is my custom list. Okay, so there's the all male members. You could see all female members, 7-day members. You pick the list that's relevant, or perhaps you'd want to select categories here as well. So you can pick categories as well as some custom lists and some individuals. You could do all of the above using all of these options to create your recipients. For this instance, I'll just select myself and go through to the next stage. Now, the next stage is picking a template. Most clubs will have just one template, usually called club template. Some clubs can order and purchase additional templates that would appear here as well. So they might want a number of different options, one for the club, one for the president, one for the captain, all with their own customized designs, I guess. I'm going to use a mock-up of the Flinders Golf Club template in this example, and we'll go through to the next page, which is where you build your content. Okay, a lot of you would have a very similar setup where it might have some generic text here that you would obviously delete and remove. It would have usually an image at the club and your logo. Scrolling down, you should see and double check in the footer if it's got the correct address as well as your social links, of course. And if we move across to the right, you'll actually see you can drag and drop these snippets, okay? Now, if I was to build one from scratch and I didn't want it to start with news heading, I might remove this one. Then I may drag and drop the snippet that greets everyone at the start. And if I was to scroll down, I might even want to put the date here as well. if it was missing the date. So I've got the date in the top right. Dear preferred name, last name is code, so that'll customize to the individual that reads it. Once again, this is just random text that you can delete. Create your own text, type your own text within this news campaign, or you can copy and paste text into it as well. Just make sure that if you're copying and pasting, make sure the font is the same. Okay, so you're not copying and pasting from different emails or articles and the fonts all different. Make sure it's all the same when you copy and paste it into this newsletter, just to keep things consistent. Okay. If I scroll down, you'll see a bunch of different snippets available. You can actually highlight text as well. And over on the left, you would see what's similar to a Word document where you can put things in bold. You can add links, break links, dot points, and so forth. And if I was to also grab a standout bullet, that's just giving it a colored background to hope it stands out a little bit more than all the other text that's got a white background. Okay, this one is another one that's also commonly used. Okay, so this will code to the members' membership number, category, golf link, and handicap. You may want to remove some of these as well. You can actually remove parts of that code as well. So it just codes to the individual's membership number. If I was to edit these buttons, I would select where it highlights edit link. You can paste a link in here, or if you were adding a, let's say, a file, then I would actually go up to the little option on the top right. This will open your library. If the file wasn't available in this library, then you can go to your desktop using the arrow, and you can choose the file. Okay, so if it was adding a PDF document, that would appear here. I can then select it and I can add it to this button. I can also rename the button too. I could call it Pacer Blade Details, and I want it to open in a new window. Now you can see the wording of that button has changed, and the link or the PDF is here. Okay. Each button can be different. You might want to put a link to a special event or a timesheet, and then rename that to say book here, for example. So when they're reading the newsletter and they want to go through to make the booking for that special event, they can do that here. It does not have to be a link to the, say, to within your MiClub system. You may want it as a link to a My Tournament event, for example. Okay, if I was to change an image, let's drag one. Actually, I'll grab a big one. Let's drag a big image over here. So if I was to edit an image, you'd hover the mouse, select edit image. It tells you the sizing of this image as well. So if I went to blank placeholder, you can see the size of that image. The width will default to the size of the image, but the height can be adjusted by yourself if you wanted it to be a different height. Okay. So if I select the link at the top right again, you can once again pick an image out of your library, or you can find a fresh image under your desktop. So if I was to say, pick this one, that previews that image. There is a resizing tool here, as well as facades on the left, which you can select as well. So you may want to change these options. Okay. Then if I was to upload it, it then provides it here and it's available in the library. Okay, I can then select that and add it. And you'll see how that image has changed. Okay, so it's worth having a little play around with these snippets, we call them on the right. Drag and drop a few different types. These snippets can be customized. If you use the same image behind a certain one, we will be able to customize it. So when you drag and drop it, yeah, it will already have that image within it. Okay, and there's a few here. There's page breakers that you can put up. You can delete them if it's not relevant. And play around with them here. Once it's all tidy and say it's got everything you need, it automatically saves with a timer after 10 minutes, or you can select save manually. Okay, now if I was to select next, it takes me through to where I can preview this news campaign. You can send yourself a test. I do recommend doing so. It will use a credit from your available credits. Be mindful of that. And you can also preview the different devices that it would look like or view on. So here's your PC, there's your tablet, and the phone's probably the most critical. One, because most people use their phones for everything these days, but two, because it's so condensed, it's always worth having a quick look and seeing whether there's anything else you want to tidy up. If you're happy with the way it looks, you can send it immediately, or you can save and send later. If I was to save and send later, that would mean that I might come back in a few hours or in a few days and tweak it before then sending it. Okay. Now, once again, if I was to send it, it would fit under pending for about a minute or two as it goes through and sends to each recipient, and then it would fall under sent, and you'd be able to view the statistics on this. Okay. Now that pretty much brings us to the end of creating a newsletter. Okay, so just to recap, it's important to remember, so under communication, your dashboard is on the left, it's the first option, but these other buttons such as triggers, contact lists, email history, and opt-outs all relate to the newsletter itself as well. So depending on what you'd like to use eNews for, you may set up a trigger and a formula, you may create a bunch of different custom contact lists, and you may want every now and again see who's falling in the opt-outs. If someone was to call you and say, I haven't received the local or the latest newsletter, you can actually find them here, or by searching the email in the recipient area, you can preview it and it gives you an option to resend it. Okay, if they still haven't received it, then I'd obviously get them to check their junk folder as another step of troubleshooting. And that pretty much sums up the eNews module. So if you have any questions or last minute questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we can answer them, or you can send us an email separately after this webinar, or give us a phone call and we can take you through anything else that you'd like to know. All right, have a good day.